Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attention and interest in this. I'm Adrienne, this is Schwinn. She's actually going to be speaking first, and then I will be introducing our project.
Oh,
you have one.
Yes, I
All right.
have one. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Xuan. I'm a e-patient and come from China, but I used to live in Los Angeles 6 years ago. And so Adrienne is my pair partner, and we did a project on traveling with insulin. It's actually my caregiver that has diabetes, and I travel with my caregiver, so I also need to take care of her health. And we have traveled to a lot of countries in the last few years, and we always have a hard time navigating the system and finding solution to store our insulin in our cabin. So we did a project, and Adrienne will tell the rest.
So just to kind of touch on this really quickly before I jump into the slides, we weren't matched by diabetes initially like I thought I would be when I joined this project, and it was amazing how that was a point of intersection that emerged. It may have been intentional, but it wasn't something that I was aware of, and so I learned so much. I was really grateful for this collaboration. So we looked at air travel with insulin. And diabetes is ever-present, global problem, no matter what community you're in. I personally study type 2 diabetes, and type 1 diabetes is an entirely different beast. So I learned a lot through this project. But because I deal with elder Latinas, which technically is 45 and above, many of them are on insulin and are also dealing with depression and anxiety related to insulin administration and a lack of understanding about the medication itself. So what we wanted to know were what sort of issues potentially would surround somebody performing international travel for work or for the purpose of staying in contact with their family, like Schwinn. And so we really weren't sure where to start. So we came up with some purposes where we really wanted to understand what was already out there so that we came up with this, let's create an info card. That was our first idea. And then we were like, we may not be respecting the tenets of what we're trying to do here. If you do research, you know, is almost like finding no articles. Any significant topic that's being studied should net about 15,000 articles, and you should struggle to get there. Oh my gosh, we're almost out of time. All right. So we also got the assistant of a student who's in a community college, and he helped us kind of sort through the data. So the articles and the online information gave us these findings. There was really inconsistent advice about the logistics of traveling. The tools that were available were really generic and in some cases kind of offensive. And there was also a lot of mixed advice about whether you should even disclose during travel that you have diabetes and what were going to be the complications if that happened. So you can talk to us afterwards, but we got a lot of quotes that really don't line up. As a nurse, I myself didn't even, and I've been to 3 nursing schools. I didn't know that you could go that long without insulin being refrigerated. We're just told worst case scenario, so you have to do it. So here's an example, by the way, of the TSA card that's available with diabetes written in Chinese. That's not really giving you much information. So our summary is that there were language and access barriers to international travel. That makes sense. The sources may not be reputable. There was a lack of consistency, and honestly, we found these across the scholarly articles just as much as we found it in people's one-off comments below blogs. So this quote really best exemplifies the experience right now that we were able to uncover, and I bet it's applicable to a lot of other people's circumstances too. So I'll give you a second to kind of go over that. So next steps really are right back to that info card that we talked about. There is a card that's in existence that was put out by the Behavioral Diabetes Institute. It's like $1.25, and it gives you lots of simple steps that can be folded up and put in your pocket that say specifically, don't put it in your luggage, it could freeze. Make sure you adjust for time and dosing when you go across 5 or more time zones. Real simple things that no one will ever tell you, and a lot of medical and nursing care providers can't tell you because we're not trained. So there are conceivable, really realizable next steps in this project, and we're both so grateful for the participation opportunity. So yeah, thank you very much.
If you have any questions, please raise your hand so I can come find you.
Awesome, we were straightforward. No, I'm just kidding. So there were varying reports of this weird nebulous 28 days. And, oh, I'm sorry. So how long can insulin go unrefrigerated? And there was this, actually, why don't we let Amy field this? And it's also, I think, what Caltrans does when they establish the mile per hour limit around corners. We know what physics says is possible, but we have to estimate for 20 miles an hour, people are going to be speeding no matter what. So maybe it's safe to turn going 50, but I'm never going to say 50 because people might take it at 65. And I think that this lack of faith in patients to be able to tell when the insulin has degraded or to control their own environmental circumstances speaks to this lack of trust, but it's also the pharmaceutical companies potentially just being overly cautious, and then the training resulting making me inherently not trust anybody now because I can't trust what the drug says and I can't trust my training, so it's a disconnect.
Well, thank you so much for the wonderful discussion, and we can definitely continue this conversation later. Thank you so much, Adrienne and Xuan.